Ducks fans, are you ready? You are listening to the Ducks and Pucks podcast. This is the #1 home for Anaheim Ducks talk and analysis. Here we go.
Welcome to the show. This is your host, Mike Walters, along with my co-host, Eddie Richard, and we are back finally after about a month, I'll say, of our last show. So we're doing another one since the NHL Draft Lottery took place. So we're going to cover that during this segment. We're also going to talk about the league and what's going on, minor updates as we inch by inch try to get back to playing hockey. So we'll cover that. Some Duck news as well. Murray had a little press conference there, kind of a surprise one that popped up during the last couple of weeks. We also had the announcement of the details about OC Vibe, and we'll discuss that as your fan reactions as well. So lots of things to cover here, Eddie. I guess before we dive into everything, how have you been doing in this last month since we haven't had a show for a little while?
Bored. I miss hockey. I actually got to play hockey a couple weeks ago, which was really fun. My first, I had my first Star Wars owned item. We had a Star Wars ice hockey tournament, kind of one day tournament. It was really fun, 3-on-3. I haven't been on the ice in over a year and a half, I want to say, but I was Bambi legs when I first started, but I just got the rhythm. It felt good to be on the ice. I started flying, moving. I got a little hat trick. That was really fun. I just been keeping busy, exercising, drinking, playing video games, and just trying to keep my mind occupied. I wrote some nice little articles too about the all-time draft from the Ducks. This should be posted, shortly. So I hope you guys enjoy that.
Yeah, you're right. You have a bunch of those articles you did. I will be posting those in this next week or so. I've been kind of working a lot too lately with the way the world's been going and things have been going on, so I've been a little bit busy, but we've been cranking out some of the articles, so they will be on there. A bunch will be coming out this week for you guys to check out. So let's get to the league and what's going on. Since the last show, not a whole lot has really happened in the last 3-4 weeks. The league did decide on a couple things. They figured out the number of games that they're playing for each series. You remember that was kind of up in the air. They had said that the conference finals and the Stanley Cup final would be 7 games. They've now decided that round 1 and 2 will also be 7 games. So the whole thing for this return to hockey, if it does happen, will be 7-game series except for the qualifying round. That'll be the 5-game series. So they determined that. They also are going with the old school reseeding, which we discussed on the last show. So what that means is after the qualifying round, when teams are playing and getting eliminated, they'll be going by the highest seed against the worst seed for those couple rounds up into the conference finals. So a little bit of old school that they're bringing back. They also decided too, when they have the round robin for the top 4 teams, if there's some kind of tiebreaker, it'll be based upon the winning percentage that'll break that tiebreaker from the regular season. So a couple little knickknacks and things like that they cleaned up and whatnot. Not a whole lot of news there with the league. That's why we kind of held off for a little bit until the draft lottery. As far as the cities go, there's still a lot of talk. Eddie and I both were pushing for Vegas. We're pretty sure Vegas will be one of them. They are still one of the front runners. For a little while there, it looked like Vancouver might have been one of them, but now they're saying that it's out. It looks like Toronto may be the front runner, and that they're also talking about the only other couple ones left are Edmonton, Chicago, and LA. So they're kind of narrowing that down, Eddie, but I still really feel that'll be Vegas and some kind of Canadian team, hopefully when hockey resumes, Eddie. What do you think about the way that they're doing the format and all this?
Oh, same thing. Definitely love the 7 games. The more hockey, the better. And people that want to say, oh, well, whoever wins the Stanley Cup, it's not fair, it doesn't count. No, they're playing the full 7 games minus that play-in round. So it's definitely going to count and going to be real hockey. And whoever wins deserves to win. As far as the hub cities, I've said it on a previous show. I always said Vegas was going to be a hub city, and it definitely is. Vegas has stupid amount of money, and people say, "Oh, it's not about the money; it's about safety." No, it's not. It's about the money, because that's all that kind of matters at this point. To an extent, Vegas has the money. They've been doing the award shows when other cities wanted to host it. Vegas was always the front runner because they have the most money, and in Vegas they have so many hotels around it to keep everyone kind of distant from each other. So that's definitely going to be number one. And I mentioned the Canadian market too. I know the numbers for COVID-19 are lower in the Canadian markets, but also it's just they want to sell the sport, and we're better off to sell the sport in the playoffs, even though fans aren't going to attend. It makes sense. It's going to be another Canadian market. Toronto, I heard Edmonton too, but it seems like it's going to be Vegas and Toronto. I don't care if they play in Egypt. I just want to watch some hockey.
And I think that's the thing with a lot of people right now is there's no sports right now at all, right? No hockey. Whether you like the other sports or not, there's no basketball, baseball. I'm not talking about the international baseball. I'm saying there's no baseball here. There's nothing, sports-wise in the United States. There's nothing going on right now. So it's rough. So the way hockey is looking is they're talking about possibly going to phase 3 in July, around July 10th through the 13th, according to Bob McKenzie. That's what he just put out this week. So they're trying to see if they can go to that. Like I said, a couple weeks. They haven't decided on all the protocols yet, but they're trying to work them out and get them done. So that's kind of where we're at. They're hoping that a vote will come in the next week or so, and then they can start moving along. And the prediction was to have hockey, like the actual tournament, towards the end of July. So that's where we're at. We did get a little bit of taste of hockey this last week, right? We had the NHL draft lottery. And if you're a Ducks fan, it really didn't go the way we wanted. I actually went back. I don't always do this, but I listened to our last show. A little while later, I do go back and listen to them. But this time, I decided to go back because it had been a few weeks, and I remember us talking about this, and we were saying how we would be happy if the Ducks got anything from 5th and up, and of course they get 6th. And like all of you out there, we were all irritated. And then, of course, the Kings go from 4th to 2nd. And then I'm more irritated now because we got bumped a spot. They go up a couple spots. And then who wins the draft? Well, we don't even know who did win the draft because of the stupid scenario that Eddie and I talked about in the last show about these qualifying teams being in here and potentially winning one of the top 3 spots or the top spot. And then they win the top spot, and everybody's freaking pissed off. And I don't blame you. I'm irritated too, the way that this went down. Not that I have any sympathy for Detroit, but they went from 1 to 4, so that kind of sucked for them because last season was basically the NHL, and then there was like this other team called Detroit, right? And I mean that's what it was, right? I mean, no love lost. We're Ducks fans, right? We don't like Detroit, but I mean, let's be real, right? They weren't even on the face of the planet. But then for them to get boned that bad, I was like, wow. I mean, I'm sorry, that sucks. That sucks for them. But what's your reaction, Eddie? I mean, I think most of us are in agreement. We were just like, we get bumped down, the Kings go up, then we don't know who wins. Like, everybody was just kind of like, WTF. Like, what is this crap? What did you think about the draft lottery and how it unfolded?
I think it was total bullshit. I'm sorry, but I was pissed off. I know I sound so petty by being mad about 6th, but I'd be happy about 5th. They was just like, come on. And the Kings went number 2. Like, oh, man. You know what? I almost wanted the Kings to get the first overall pick because it just seems kind of weird. Like, yeah, I'm not like a conspiracy person or anything like that. It just seems kind of weird that during this time and this new format, the NHL did, it seems like they had some sort of influence in how it went down. Because I guarantee Phase 2 will have double the ratings from Phase 1 of the lottery draft, and more people are going to tune in. I don't know. It pissed me off. But then I once I calmed down, settled down, after I took a few shots to calm me down, I just looked at, I was looking at my ceiling and my Ducks poster, and I was like, you know what? 6th overall, that's not too bad, because it could be worse. I could be a Red Wings fan having 39 points last season and getting snubbed like they did. Their fans went absolutely nuts. Like, I'm surprised they didn't go down to Toronto and riot over there at the freaking NHL headquarters. They were freaking furious, but I don't know. I kind of wish they would just have the little balls and stuff, like do it live, like have a little box, like we were talking about, before we started recording, have a little box showing those, all those balls, and then pulling it out and doing that, and having like commentary and talking about the things like that. So I mean, it just kind of sucked that the Ducks got 6, but I'm optimistic that we'll get a good player. And I have to think about the Avalanche when they had Ottawa's pick. And then Ottawa was the worst team in the league, and the Avs should have got the first overall, but they ended up getting the 4th overall, and it worked out for them because they got a player of Cale Makar, and he's pretty much, if you can redraft at this point, he'd probably be taken first overall. So I'm just gonna keep my positive thoughts and hope the Ducks pick a stud player, and that's just gonna surprise everybody. And then we can look back this a few years from now and be like, oh man, if we can redraft, this player the Ducks got, I wish he would have went first overall. So you never know. It's a draft. Anything can happen.
Yeah, and we'll talk about some of the players here in just a second, kind of break it down, what we think the Ducks might go for. And there are some articles out there too, and I'll mention those a little bit later. So with this, it was interesting. I did another one of our podcast polls on Facebook. I don't know what's going on with the Facebook org pages, though. You can't do like a traditional poll where like you click and vote anymore. I don't know. There's a lot of weird stuff going on in social media, period. I'm not going to go off on that tangent. But for the polling that we did do, just asking you guys about this draft lottery and if it was fair or if it was rigged, a majority of you thought it was rigged. And the reason why I'm laughing is not because you felt that way. It's just because a lot of times I do these polls and I have an idea of what I think the poll's going to be. And I thought this was going to be one of those like 40-60 polls. And it was not 40-60. It was over 75% of you thought the draft was rigged this time around, which surprised me. I didn't think that many of you would go that way, and you did. So some of the things that we talked about on here, what happened, I think a lot of it was the Ducks got bumped down one. The Kings getting bumped up didn't help either. As Eddie talked about, the whole thing is you have an unknown team that won, and they're going to have now this phase 2, which I'll talk about a little bit here in a second, but I didn't really talk about it on the last show, and the reason why is because I hoped it wasn't going to happen. That was, 1, which we talked about, and 2, if it did happen, then I was like, okay, we'll talk about it after the fact. So we'll break it down. But in terms of it being rigged or not, man, this is such a hard one for me. Eddie and I discussed this before the show. I don't think the whole thing is like completely rigged, like, it's all fake and everything, because they have all these combinations. They have to draw 4 different balls for each combo that'll, determine who gets each pick. I wrote it in the article. The Ducks were actually 1 draw away. The first 3 balls that were picked, they had those same 3 in some of their winning combinations. They had a chance to win. I wrote that in the article. If you didn't see it, please go check it out. It's in there. It lays it out in really great detail. We had it Sportsnet on there, talked about the numbers and everything. I don't want to waste time on the show, but if you go on there, it talks about it, and the Ducks were that close. That's the part that frustrated me too, is they were only 1 ball away from getting a winning combination. So that part irritated me. So the other thing I think is that it's not recorded live is what is irritating to me. You watch the lottery. I don't know how they do in other states, but usually in California, they put it on the TV. Here, they have the GMs, league officials. They're in a room. They have the drawings and everything, but they don't show it on TV. And I'm just really skeptical in this day and age now with everything that's going on in the world. I call bullshit on a lot of stuff, and people laugh at me because I do, but I feel a lot of stuff out there in the world isn't necessarily true, especially mainstream media. I just don't think it is. So with this, when you guys are skeptical about the draft and saying that it's not recorded and at least shown on TV visual, I agree with you, and I think it should be changed. I think a better way, again, Eddie and I talked about this, is have a show where you have the drawings and space it out. Have the drawing, show the 8th pick, right? And then talk about something. Talk about the draft or what the league's doing. Have a player interview. Do something like that. Then do number 7. Then 6, 5, 4, 3. Do something to make it more interesting, honestly. I mean, if they want more people to tune in, I would be more likely to tune in if you got draft prospects on there or interviews from GMs or something on there added than just sitting on there, talking a little bit. Okay, number 8, number 7, number 6, whoop-de-doo. So to me, I don't think it's necessarily rigged, but I don't like the process of how it went down at all. I think it could have been changed. And a couple things that we talked about was doing just the top 7 teams on the last show and calling it. Or you do the 15 teams, but you do the 15 teams once you know who those other 8 teams would have been. And that's something that Thomas also brought that up on our poll on Facebook, which is exactly what Eddie and I were talking about. So us 3 are in agreement with that. I just think the way that it went down, Eddie, like I said, I don't think it was rigged, but I think it could have been done way better.
Well, yeah, it's crazy to think that once they do this play-in thing, if you have teams like Pittsburgh or Edmonton losing, they have a chance to get this first overall pick that can skyrocket their franchise. Well, not really Edmonton, because I'm sure they'll find a way to screw it up and not be successful. But like the Penguins, it's just crazy. It seemed like it was a little bit unfair. And I'm not just talking as a Ducks standpoint. I'm talking about, you had teams like Ottawa and Detroit that are sinking. And like you mentioned, like the Red Wings weren't even in the NHL last season. I don't know where they were or what kind of hockey they were playing. They were playing some crap hockey. And they kind of deserve a player that can help their franchise and bring more fans to their building. To help grow the game. That's all that matters to me. And I'm not just saying Ducks are nothing. I want hockey to succeed as a whole. And now it seems like a big joke. People are mad. And, I had people... I read comments, people from like Toronto fans or Pittsburgh fans saying that, hey, I'm a Pittsburgh or Toronto fan and this seems unfair that if we lose, we might get this player. And it just kind of gives zero incentive, too, for those teams in the play-in. Like, okay, well, the chances of us winning the Stanley Cup is really slim. Why not just tank and get a chance to get the first overall pick? I don't know. I think that they dropped the ball. I'm not saying there's a conspiracy or anything going on. I just think there's a little bit of influence. And if you guys know that rapper 50 Cent, he said, if it makes money, it makes sense. And I think at this point, how everything happened, I think he's right with that quote. It's only going to bring more money for the NHL if they did have influence to make this mystery team get the first overall. It's going to build that suspense, that momentum, just like you're writing a movie, the climax of the movie. And I don't know, it sucks. That's all I have to say. I really hope they change something in the future and do something live so fans can actually see for themselves. Because you have fans like myself that will watch every one of those damn balls come out of that thing and write down things. You have no idea how obsessed with hockey I am and how I pay attention to the littlest details. I wish I had this much focus when I went to school and studied biology or something like that. Like that much focus I have. But I don't know. I hope something changes, but I really hope that a team that needs that first overall pick gets it and not a team that just just choked in that play-in and they get a top prospect that's just going to just bolster their team even more.
No, I agree 100%. I mean, you could even have, a draft lottery watch party and have the drawing, have the balls out there and have people over and have fun. Like, I think it would be a big thing, It'd be interesting to see, how it unfolds. And like I said, make a big production out of it. That's what they want anyways. They want more audience. And by having an unknown team win, okay, now there's the second phase, which Eddie and I didn't want. So you have that, which is going to get more attention. And like Eddie's talking about, you have these teams playing that, what's the incentive to win now? I mean, if I lose in the qualifying round, I have a 1 in 8 chance of winning. So 12.5% chance of winning the overall first pick. And like Eddie talked about, you have teams in there like Pittsburgh and Edmonton and other teams, Carolina, the Islanders, Toronto, Nashville, Vancouver, Calgary, the teams that are all ranked 5, 6, 7, and 8 in each conference have a chance to get those picks. I mean, that's just crazy in my opinion. I don't know. I don't like it. Something stinks. We had a fan question about this. They asked, okay, COVID-19, right? The season doesn't finish. So what happens? So this is what will happen if for some reason they decide to cancel the season, wait till next year. The way it will work is there will still be a second phase. And there will be 8 teams that will be picked to have the chance of getting that number 1 overall pick. And the way it will work is it'll just go by the next 8 worst teams after those first 7. So it'll be Montreal, Chicago, Arizona, Minnesota, Winnipeg, the Rangers, Florida, and Columbus. So those teams, the next 8 worst will get it, which I almost kind of want that instead now, because I think that they should have just done that from the beginning, honestly. It's like, why do you have these play-in teams in this? They should have either waited, like I said, till after the play-in round to do this, or if they were so apt to do it now, then why don't you just put the teams in the reverse order, right? The 15 worst, and do it now. I mean, that's how I feel. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know that it was rigged since they use so many combinations and all this stuff, but it's just super convenient that this thing panned out the way it did, where it required a phase 2, and then it also has a team winning that nobody knows who the team is. So, of course, like Eddie said, more people are now talking about this. I mean, heck, we're even talking about it on the show right now, right?
Yeah, it's just, it seems too much of a coincidence, and I'm not one to believe in coincidences that much. I don't really do that. But it was a really good question. Out of those teams, if hockey does not resume, I'd probably want Arizona or Columbus to get the first overall pick. I think they're both franchises that don't get that much attention or respect. Columbus, I can't believe Columbus wasn't in Detroit's spot after they lost a lot of their players. They relied on, Alvis Merlikas, which was a nobody, that came in and stole the show and stole so many games for them. I think they deserve a player to build up their franchise, and that'd be great. And Arizona has been, people have been joking about it, saying that they don't belong in a league, that they should just move to Quebec. I think they deserve that generational talent right there to build their franchise. And then they have Taylor Hall, which for some reason, every team he plays on, they end up stealing a first overall pick. You go back to Edmonton, you go back to New Jersey, so who knows? But if I had to pick out of those losing teams from this question, and from the response that you generated, Mike, I'd probably pick Columbus or Arizona to pick to get that first overall pick.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I wish it was just that way. But yeah, if it's Arizona or Columbus, I'd be fine with that. I posted something and people cracked up. I talked about Edmonton or Chicago getting it, and I was joking on Facebook, and people got like, "Oh my God, what are you talking about?" I'm just making a joke that if those 2 teams get it, I think everybody's going to get upset. Was what I was getting at. So I'm with you on that. We had another question. A couple different people. I believe these are Instagram. Christian Moreno, Dylan, and Brendan that asked about, well, what do you think the Ducks will get for the 6th pick? How's it going to pan out now? So with what's happened now, I think certain players are off the board. So if we're talking about Lafreniere, he's gone. Byfield, Stützle, those 3 guys, they're gone. Okay, let's just be real about it. They're going to go probably 1, 2, 3, or at least in the top 5 for sure. They're going to be out of it. So it's a question of who's left for the Ducks. We posted a bunch of articles on this. We had articles on Jamie Drysdale, Alexander Holtz, Lucas Raymond, Marco Rossi, and there's also Cole Perfetti too as well. So I think those guys are in the mix. I know Eddie has got some info on some of the players that he's going to tell you from Elite Prospects, how they work out and why he thinks the Ducks will get certain players to answer this questions, because we got a lot of people asking about it. But I think those players are in the mix. Drysdale's probably on the fence. I think he gets taken in the top 5, but maybe not. But Eddie, I'll let you break it down. I know you got some info that you want to talk about some of the other players and some of the ones that you think that the Ducks will pick, as the 6th draft pick.
Yeah, well, let's start with Lucas Raymond. He's described as a very well-rounded and highly skilled winger, blessed with exceptional hockey sense, terrific hands, great speed, and a fine work ethic. He plays at plenty of intensity and battles hard for the puck. He's a nightmare to play against with his forechecking and puck-stealing abilities. He has a strong two-way game and is a capable penalty killer. He has a strong wrist shot and excellent vision. Few weaknesses overall, and is a player that doesn't wait for the play to happen, but one that generates the play to make things happen. That was by Elite Prospects. Cole Perfetti. This one was from the Hockey News. It was his former coach Tippett said, "You play against him and you see a kid with that talent. You want to play with him. It's the way he sees the ice, everything from little passes to smart plays to the way he sticks. His stick is positioned, and obviously his shot speaks for itself. He's a special player." Now, Alexander Holtz, offensively skilled player, a true goal scorer, impressive wrist shot and slapper. He has the ability to know exactly where to be on the ice and make things happen. Also a smart player with good on-ice vision and fine technical skills. Not a poor playmaker either, as he sees openings well and sets up his teammates, although he prefers to finish the play himself. Capable skater, although his acceleration could be better. That was by Elite Prospects. These players seem really great. With Bob Murray's track record, I can see him getting Raymond or Holtz because they're Swedish players, and we all know how the Ducks like to draft Swedish players. I do one thing that really stood out to me on this is on Lucas Raymond, the quote, but the one that he says he doesn't wait for the play to happen, but the one that generates the play and make things happen. I think that's something really special for a player. It reminds me of Gretzky, where he would be like, he wouldn't be in position where the puck is. He's going to be in position where the puck is going to be. And I think that quote right there makes me, weigh in on wanting this player more. And I think the Ducks definitely lack that. They all just kind of follow the puck and go for it. But I can't really think of a player that really goes where the puck's going to be. I think one of the players that did that most of recent was Andrew Cogliano. On the penalty kill, for some reason, he would be where the puck was going to be, and he would generate scoring chances. I think that's really a special attribute for a player to have, because not only does it helps for scoring chances, but when he goes where the puck's going to be and he generates chances by himself, it makes other players around him better and more offensively, capable. So I think it's really good to see that attribute from a kid that young too, and how people are talking about him that way. If I were to pick, I'd probably pick Lucas Raymond. For that, I haven't watched too much video on either of these players, which I'm going to, and we'll dive down deeper on our show come the draft. But with just reading that right there would sway me to pick him.
Yeah, and we will have another show too. Whenever the draft officially gets done, or we get closer to it, we will talk about the players more in depth. But I'm with Eddie. I like Lucas Raymond. The other thing is he plays both wing positions. This is just my personal thing. I like players that can play multiple positions. It's a big thing for me because it gives you more flexibility in the lineup. He can play right wing and left wing. Alexander Holtz can only play right wing. Or at least that's what he's listed as. So for me, when a player's listed that he's able to play both spots, I think that's an added advantage too. And I agree with Eddie in the point of, hey, you don't just let the play happen, you go after it. So I would be happy with either one. I like Raymond more. If Drysdale is there for some reason at the 6th pick, I do think the Ducks go for him because, as Eddie and I talked about, the defense for Anaheim has had some issues, and I think that would help out. I just don't know that he'll be there. And that kind of leads us to our other question from Alex, Ducks17583. He talks about, the Ducks have 2 first-round picks. Is it possible that they get a forward and a defenseman? And I mean, it depends. It's what Murray's talked about is, hey, they go for the best possible player, right? But I think, Eddie, between these 2 first-round picks, I really think that they would go for a forward and a defenseman if it's there. But I don't know. It really, it's just how it unfolds. And for me, the Ducks' defense is the bigger issue. So I would think that they would get one of each. Like you said, if Drysdale's not there, they go for Raymond or Holtz as their 6th pick, and then later go for a defenseman. That's kind of what I'm thinking they'll do. Obviously, things can change. We don't know when the draft's going to be, but that's my take on that, Eddie.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with as Brian Murray said, or Bob Murray. I want to say Brian. Oh, God. That's old school. He's probably going to get the best player possible. If it's a winger, a center, a goalie, that last pick on the first round that they have, he's probably going to get the best player possible. And I respect that. That's cool. I mean, he can blossom to be something great. If not, you can always trade him, which, Ducks have a good track record of trading their first round draft picks. But as far as the first one, it's so hard not to pick one of the three guys that we listed. It's just, man, it's so hard not to pick them. And even if Drysdale does drop down that low, it's still hard not to pick either one of those players, because we definitely need some scoring help, and we definitely need someone that puts the puck in the back of the net and that can create opportunities and chances. I read too, next year's draft is supposed to be defensive heavy, and even the first overall draft pick projected is to be a defenseman. So, I mean, maybe it might be plausible for Murray to pick offense right now with the 2 first rounds he has. And I mean, next season, the Ducks aren't going to make the playoffs or win the Stanley Cup. They're probably going to be in the same boat unless something really just does a 180. But in hockey, it takes time and takes patience. So, I mean, I would just be patient and pick, some, offensive help the Ducks need in this draft. And then come next draft, you can go ahead and shoot after those, defensive-heavy prospects that are supposed to be projected next draft.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we'll have to see how it unfolds. I'm with you on that. I wouldn't be surprised if Drysdale is gone before they get to that first pick, that the Ducks do go with a couple forwards like you talked about. So we will have, like I said, another show going into more depth on this. We have more articles being written. We have a new writer, Logan, who's been writing a bunch of them and posting them out there. So if you haven't seen them, check them out. I've reposted the links a couple times for you guys to look at, but he's writing more articles on these players, and we'll be posting them as well in the coming weeks. So, talking about the league and the draft and all the other things going on, there was some Ducks news in the last couple weeks. A couple things did happen. There was the announcement about the OC Vibe. If you remember, I wrote an article about how the Ducks were going to build up around Honda Center recently, and now they've kind of put out the official plan, which is it's exciting. There's positives and negatives we'll talk about, but they have this $3 billion plan that they're going to build up around Honda Center, where they're going to have a venue that holds 6,000 seats. They want to have 30 restaurants / retail shops around Honda Center, a couple hotel rooms as well, a landscaped pedestrian area where you can walk and run. They're talking about adding 2,800 residential units, also office space of over 800,000. They're also talking about constructing a bridge over Catella to alleviate pedestrian traffic over the main area there on Catella and Douglas. So it got unveiled this last week. A lot of people were excited about it. The Angels are also doing something as well by Angel Stadium. So they're trying to build up all this stuff, basically make it an area where you can go hang out 24/7, right? Or you go before a game or after a game and you hang out and whatnot, kind of to rival LA Live, if you will. So that's what's going on. It's in the works. It's not, at least on the Ducks end, not supposed to be done until 2024. It seems like a lot of people are excited about it, but then a lot of people are upset too because of the traffic that's going to occur 24/7. Also parking. They did say that they're going to have parking structures that they're going to work on too as well. It's kind of interesting. I like it overall. I think it's exciting. It's something that I think we need to have, not just somewhere where you go to a game and you leave. Like Eddie and I will go to JT Smith's before a game and then leave. Some of my other friends and I will go by the movie theater and the restaurants on Catella, just across the riverbed, and hang out. My wife and I will just go to the game and leave. Like, there's not really a lot of options, basically. around that area, especially when there's not a game. I mean, what do you do, right? There's not a lot of stuff to go hang out and do. So I like the fact that they're building it up, and there's going to be more things, every day of the week, basically. But I share the concern that many of you have too, and I think the fact that the traffic and the parking, I think that's going to be a nightmare, especially on game days, or especially when the Ducks and the Angels overlap. I know it's not a lot, it only happens a little bit, but that could be problematic too. What do you think about this OC Vibe design and plan, Eddie?
I think it's great. I think it's going to be awesome. I think you're going to have me spend the night at your house a lot more after games when this gets built. It's just only positive. It's going to generate a lot of revenue for the city of Anaheim. It's going to bring in more crowds to the Ducks games. It's just going to be fun overall. I remember when I went to Colorado, the Stadium Series at Coors Field where the Rockies play. There was a bunch of bars. Like, you're walking to the stadium and there's bars everywhere. Like, I don't know how many bars that we even went to. We just every bar here. It was just fun atmosphere. They had this big old thing where you can go in, shoot pucks. It was a fun experience, and I overall had probably one of the best times I ever had at a hockey game. Yeah, of course it was a Stadium Series, so it's going to be different. Even Arizona, if you guys been to over there in Arizona where they play, right in front of their arena, there's a 2-story complex where it's just bars and restaurants and shops, and it just makes, for a different experience, a fun experience. You can go, get to the game 3 hours early because you're going to go and drink, you're going to go eat, you're going to go shop. It's going to be fun. And also, a lot of fans, and I know the Ducks were trying to get an all-star game, but, I mean, you can't really have an all-star game over there in Anaheim because it's nothing around there. JT Smith's, that's it. The rest is kind of boring. You have Disneyland a few miles down the street, but I think once this gets built, I can probably guarantee within the first year or maybe the second year they'll have an all-star game. I'm not really too, keen on all-star games and whatever, but if it brings more, more recognition to the Ducks, then that's going to be good. And I'm really waiting for a draft to be held over there at Honda Center. I would love to go and be part of draft experience. I've never done that, and it's one of my bucket list goals. But I'm all for it. As far as the traffic, yeah, it's going to happen. Plan accordingly. You have that train that runs through. You can park somewhere else, take the train. If not, just avoid the areas. I know after games, I usually drive you home, Mike, and I know where not to go. I take it's a little bit inconvenient. I take a few miles down the road and jump on the freeway a different path, but I'm not going to go right past Honda Center, especially when the Angels are playing too. That's just a nightmare. But, I mean, it's something exciting for Ducks fans. Like, we have something big. It's going to be better than what the Kings and Lakers and Clippers have over there. It's just, it's going to be something different, and I best believe, or I guarantee, he'll probably bring in more teams too. Like I know Anaheim in the past wanted a basketball team, NBA team. I mean, having a venue of that that big and that around where everything is just great. I mean, they can bring in that, and it's only going to just generate more revenue and have upgrades. Unfortunate part about it, I'm pretty sure the beer prices are going to go up. But you know what? As much as I complain, I'm still going to buy it. Damn it.
Yeah, I'm with you too. I mean, the fact that the Angels and Ducks are doing something like this, it's going to be fantastic. I think it's going to be great. We don't have anything like that in Orange County. LA Live has their thing. Yeah, parking's going to suck. I'm not going to lie. But, I looked to Las Vegas and what they did. If you guys remember, I went to the Ducks Vegas Knights game back on New Year's Eve, as you remember, when unfortunately my mom passed away while I was at that game. And the way that they have it set up, Uber, Lyft, they have a monorail there. Obviously we don't have that here, but we have the train. There's other options there to get to the spot. And I can't lie, I mean, I'm wearing my Duck stuff, of course, and everyone's wearing their Vegas Knights stuff, which is terrible. I'm like in the minority here, and I'm walking down in Las Vegas going, oh my God, right? But they, like Eddie talked about, they have all these bars and restaurants, all the stuff set up outside of the arena there in Vegas, where you can go and hang out and have a great time. I mean, it's awesome. I mean, we went early, and all the surrounding restaurants and bars were completely packed with people, everyone enjoying, having a good time. And even though the Vegas fans are really into the Knights, nobody really gave me any kind of shit or anything, or my wife, and it was a great time. And I think if they have this thing done, I think the positives outweigh the negatives. Yes, like I said, parking's going to suck, traffic's going to suck. As Eddie said, plan accordingly. That's what I would do. That's what we did. We went really early for that game on New Year's Eve because we knew it was going to be crazy. It's New Year's Eve. The game was during the day. As you remember, the Ducks lost, but it was fun. It was a great experience. So that's the way I would look at it. And yes, Eddie does drive me home sometimes from Ducks games because I have too much to drink. That is true. So there's that part of it too. But I look at it as a good thing overall, and I'm excited. It's going to take 4 years from now. By then, this COVID stuff will be done, I hope. So we, can get back to hanging out and socializing and doing stuff at a somewhat normal, environment. So, but yeah, that was the announcement the last week or so. OC Vibe coming. Like I said, the Angels are working on their stuff too, so look forward to that. The other part that kind of came up, it's kind of interesting. It's kind of a surprise, if you will, press conference by Bob Murray. All of a sudden, he was out there talking about stuff and going, "Oh my God, Bob Murray, he's going to have some comments and do all this stuff." It's like, what is this? So we had Murray do a press conference. He talked about the Ducks this last season. What happened? I thought it was interesting. He did the player interviews. A lot of them remotely using Zoom. And he talked about the season. And, the way he talked about the season is really, Eddie, kind of what you and I thought about. I'll use one quote here and we'll kind of go from there. But he said that there were some stretches of very good hockey played by the group, definite steps in the right direction of playing faster, quicker, and doing some things the proper way, far too consistent. He went on to talk about special teams play being a problem. We harped on that too. The power play was at 14.7%, 30th in the league, second to last, and the power penalty kill at 77%, 26th in the league. So I'll read some of the other comments in a minute. But what did you think about Murray? Kind of a random press conference, but he talked about, like we said, he thought the team did better, but could work on the special teams, which I don't know. I thought that was kind of a no-brainer.
First, I want to say congratulations to Madden. He definitely deserves it. I know people were freaking out thinking that Murray was gone, like they can't have two GMs or someone's going to be fired. No, like plenty of teams have multiple assistant GMs. I think he deserved it, especially everything he's done in the scouting department. He has that eye, and it's just a great promotion for him. So congratulations. I remember you mentioned too, like just recently about or just right now, about how like the team got faster and stuff. The team wasn't great, but they did improve from the following season, and that's what we talked about before. We just want the Ducks to keep trending in the right direction. Don't digress. It's just keep getting better. Yeah, they still have a lot of work to do to be that Stanley Cup contending team that we all want them to be. And special teams especially the power play, has been a big issue. But I liked what I saw. You can't really hold your head down as a Ducks fan, comparing last season to the season before. The season before was almost an embarrassment. I don't want to say Red Wings embarrassment because I don't want to talk about a team that low. They weren't definitely that low, but they were bad the season before. Last season you had a step to the game. The physicality went up a little bit. They were faster. They let the young kids play more. So hopefully that can translate next season to them being more comfortable and producing more offensively or whatever their natural talent is, and they can produce that. But I'm glad he got promoted, and I think it was well deserved. And I think every Ducks fan could be in agreement that the scouting has been pretty much top notch for the Ducks. Like they've found hidden gems in lower rounds, or they found players that people overlooked that regret not picking. So congratulations to him.
Yeah, and for those that don't know, so Martin Madden was promoted to assistant GM. The Ducks are keeping both assistant GMs now. They have David Nonis as well on there. But Madden has been with the team for 12 seasons, serving pretty much as the director of amateur scouting. And he's really played a key role in the Ducks drafts, prospect development, and a lot of the scouting and whatnot. So I think it's really interesting because now a lot of people are saying, okay, we don't want Murray in there anymore. We want someone else in there. And Eric Stevens of The Athletic had a Q&A, and I asked him that question because a lot of you brought it up. So I threw it to him and asked him, what do you think about Madden becoming the GM? And Eric Stevens said, I think he is in the running. His promotion is certainly a position towards that direction, but I don't think it makes him a favorite. He'd be a candidate. So Eric Stevens basically saying that he would definitely be someone that the Ducks organization would look to. Whether or not he's the favorite, it's up in the air. So, I think that's a key thing, is that the Ducks organization has to look at, because with Murray and the things that have gone on, Eddie and I have talked about this. We don't necessarily think he's the long-term future of the team. That's what we've said. We think that he's there to help the Ducks get through this expansion with Seattle that's coming up, and a little bit in the future, and that's about it. And I really believe that. And I think that there's some issues going on. Murray actually alluded to him in the press conference too, Eddie. He talked about basically that he backed off. Remember, he was behind the bench and everything the season before, and he said that, quote unquote, I didn't feel I could be around as much. In hindsight, that's a mistake in error of judgment. People argue with me. That won't happen again. Up and down the lineup, some of the kids were allowed to get away with murder this year. That's over. Accountability in this group is going to change, end quote. So he talked about, I think he's trying to find a balance, basically, as far as being in there and, not being a micromanager, but also not being away at a distance. He did praise Dallas Aikens for the things that he's done this last season, and felt that it would improve next year, whenever that starts, right? But I think the thing with Madden, I think it is a little bit of foreshadowing. I mean, if you look at what's going on in this organization, we talked about the drafts and how well that they've been. Obviously, that's not all Bob Murray, right? It takes a team to do it. And if you want to say that someone's the man behind Murray, I would definitely say it's Madden. He's the one that's done a lot with this organization in the last 12 years. And if you're looking to give someone credit for the way that the Ducks have drafted, developed prospects and all that, if you don't think he's the main reason, that's fine. But he's definitely a major reason why. And if the Ducks don't extend Murray again after this last time, I won't be so sad. Put Madden in there, and I think he's the one to do the job. But I'm pretty adamant about this. I think the promotion of Madden was the right thing, and I think it can only mean good things for the Ducks down the road.
I definitely agree with you 100%. I've said it before. I don't think Murray's the GM that's going to bring us that Stanley Cup. I'm thankful for everything he's done for this organization, and I'm not talking bad about him at all. I'm just looking at it as a hockey standpoint and everything he's done since he's been a GM. I think it's time for someone new to come in, step in, and bring the Ducks, the talent they need to win the Stanley Cup. Ducks, are a great team. We have a lot of young prospects. We have a lot of young players that could elevate their game and be really, elite players. And there's no reason why we can't win a cup within the next 6-7 years, or even lower than that. But I trust Murray 100% for the expansion draft. Yeah, I know people are so upset about Theodore leaving, but it's just, we could have lost more. I trust him for that, but I think moving on, we need some new blood, and we need someone, especially that's been the face of the franchise that hasn't even been seen, coming out there and doing the job. So I would definitely be in the running and trust Madden to do that job. You touched on another thing, Mike, that I wanted to talk about was how he backed off and gave space. People took it the wrong way when he said that said he wasn't in there. I'm more kind of old school, traditional, where I think if you're a rookie, you should earn your spot. I'm not talking about hazing or things like that, or any anything disgusting like that. I'm just talking about when you're a rookie somewhere, you should be the first one on the ice, the last one to leave. You should do anything in your power to earn your keep and your spot. I've worked in professional environments, including the Army, where I walked in and I didn't sit there and act like I was part of the team until I earned my spot. It took years to earn it, but once I did, I did it. And like I said, once again, I'm not talking about hazing or any of the stuff you guys read about sexual, stuff or abusive things like that. I'm just talking about keep your mouth shut and just to come to work and do the job you're supposed to do 110%, even more than that. And I'm not going to name any names, but I've seen a few of the rookie players that felt way too comfortable being rookies with the Ducks organization. They seemed like they were seasoned vets by some of their actions, their arrogance, and I didn't like that at all. And that kind of just rubbed me the wrong way. Like I said, if you're a rookie, you come to work and you do even more than everyone else does, and you earn your spot. I'm not going to name the name, but there was a certain Ducks player on a podcast that came around and said that some of the rookies were joking around too much and kind of just not knowing their place, basically. And yeah, that's what I think Murray meant by that. He's he's more old school too. But I don't know. Some of you might agree. I just grew up differently. I always, I don't care where I worked. I remember my first job was at Carl's Jr. when I was 15. I still kept my mouth shut, did my job until I earned my way to joke in my spot. Even though, a fast food is just like whatever job, especially at 15. But that's the mentality I have, and that's the respect that I have. And it seems like some of the rookies this season just didn't have that, and they thought that they kind of they had a sense of entitlement, and they deserved to be there by not even putting in the work. And what I've seen on special teams and some of the games I've seen by the Ducks and by their play, hell no. Some of you guys should have been in San Diego and not even up with the Ducks, but unfortunately you were. So I hope that kind of atmosphere changes and they just go back to kind of earning their spot and playing some good hockey.
Yeah, and to add to that, I think part of the problem, too, was the amount of injuries that the Ducks team had. Murray talked about that. He was forced to put younger players up in there. Also, don't forget, in December, the Ducks team pretty much had COVID-19. I'm just going to come out and say it. Most of the Ducks team was sick in December. You remember the Ducks had to play 7 defensemen in one game, where Holtz basically had to play as a forward. They had the stupid ass virus, right, that everyone's talking about. So they were down a lot of players. A lot of guys were sick and out, and they had to play a lot of these younger guys. Then and throughout the season, and put them in positions that Murray didn't want them to be in. But the Ducks were, for lack of a better term, screwed. They had to do that. So I'm with you on that too. I think some of them got a little bit too arrogant. And I think they need to be reined in a little bit, and I hope that does happen next season. And I'm old school too. That's the way I look at it. The stuff that I've done in my life was all through hard work. Stuff wasn't handed to me. And if you had an arrogant attitude, I was raised that was the wrong way. So, I'm not pointing at certain players on the team and stuff like that, but Murray's the one that brought this up, so that's why we're talking about it. And I think that's something that's going on kind of generationally, if you will, unfortunately. So I hope that the team does get back on track. But, Murray didn't just take shots at them. He took shots at the core players, too. He said, quote, the core players have to elevate their game. They know it. They know it after talking to me. They have to elevate. It's a team effort, basically. You got to get everybody together. And I think if you listen to the podcast, too, with Getzloff on Spit and Chicklets, you can hear what he said on theirs a couple of weeks ago. But it's the same thing. You're trying to mesh this group together. And I think it's difficult in any situation where you're trying to put together a team and do stuff. And you've got guys that, a couple of generations apart here. things are a little bit different. That's just kind of the nature of the beast, if you will. So we'll have to see what happens next season. But, I think the Ducks will do better next year. Like we've said before, they're not going to be a contending team, but I think they will improve. And, just kind of leave it at that. But, we'll wrap up the show with our last segment, the other league news that's going on. We have another Duck that was out there kind of going off, and I was cracking up, Eddie. Ryan Kesler blowing up Twitter, and rightfully so, I will say. But Eddie, I'll let you talk about it, and then I'll kind of break down this whole escrow thing. But I'll let you discuss kind of what happened and why he was so irritated.
Well, it started off with Panarin putting out a message. If you guys don't know Panarin, if you guys don't follow the league, you guys probably should know the name, but he plays for the New York Rangers. He posted a tweet calling out the owners and saying, he's ready to come back and play. He wishes he can play in front of, his New York fans, but he's calling out the owners to fix the escrow. Well, Kesler came back and said it's about time, quote, it's about time. The owners need to understand we're done paying their debts. You run your team to the ground, it's on you. If there's a pandemic, it's on the owners. Figure it out. It's not a free ride. And that blew up. Fans from different teams started attacking him. But he maintained composure, and he tried to explain to him in his Kesler way. But he didn't demean them. He explained to him, like, I remember one tweet he said that, hey, well, if you work at Walmart and coronavirus comes, the owners expect you to pay for that. And he was just trying his hardest. It's like, okay, wow. But yeah, he just went on a series of tweets just defending his actions and calling out the owners. One tweet too, and I know a lot of fans have been asking about this, and this is where I'll weigh in saying, giving my speculation. I think Kesler's done for professional hockey, and once his contract is up, he's going to announce his retirement. One tweet he mentioned to one of the people calling him out, saying that he still can't run and he can't have a normal lifestyle. So obviously his hip is still giving him issues, and like I talked about it before, quality of life is everything, and he has a family, so I'm sure that's his number one priority. And with a tweet like that, I think he's done. And and rightfully so. Like I said, he's done everything in hockey besides won a Stanley Cup, but he's given his heart and soul to hockey, and you could see that by some of his responses to people calling him out or bashing him. I don't know what's wrong with today's society, where if your opinion doesn't match up with yours, you have to bash them. It's okay to be, different opinions. It's okay for you to think one thing and you to think the other. I don't understand how people can just sit there and bash them. I don't know. It's just crazy to me, but from what I read, especially that last tweet about his hip and having a normal lifestyle and you can't even run, I think he's done. But, I agree with Kesler. Some of these owners make a ton of money and just kind of rely on the players and kind of just take advantage of that. And I'm not talking about the Ducks owners, because I'm still extremely grateful for the fact that they paid their employees, the first professional hockey team to go out there and pay their employees, not only their Honda Center employees or their Ducks game employees, but they paid the rinks, and JT Smith, like whatever employees they had. So they're really generous. They have good hearts, but there's a lot of owners out there that are just like pieces of crap. Boston owner.
You know what, man? I love Ryan Kesler. That's all I gotta say. I should even make a T-shirt and hit him up. Hey, can we make a T-shirt? I love Ryan Kesler.
Yes.
Yes. Dude, he lays it out there. He doesn't hold back. I mean, you're right. Panarin's the first one to come out and talk about this escrow thing. But Kesler's like, screw you guys. I don't agree with what's going on, just like him. Here you go. People go at him on Twitter, and I laugh because, Twitter's full of trolls, as we all know. And they try to attack him. And I just crack up. I love this guy. He, the times that I met him in person, he's hilarious. He's funny. he's real. He doesn't pull punches. He didn't pull punches on Twitter. And, just a little breakdown here of how this escrow thing works if you don't understand like what he's talking about. So basically, at the end of the season, the league, they split the profit between the owners and the players 50-50. So that sounds like a good thing, right? You're like, okay, cool. They split the money. Yay, fair, 50-50. But what happens is the players have to pay a percentage of their salary into this escrow account. This last year it was 11.5%. That money stays in the account throughout the season. What happens is at the end, they calculate, hey, okay, who made more money? So if the owners made less money than the players, then the players have to pay the owners. It's just like, okay, that's kind of screwed, right? But vice versa is true too. If the owners make more, then they give back that money to the players and maybe more, depending on how the math works out. But what he's so mad about is you have players doing this, and it's not per team, basically. It's the owners combined and the players combined, right? It's not per each organization. So they're trying to balance it out. But regardless of what happens at the end of the season, they're keeping this player's money until this is determined at the end. And I get it. And this was an issue we did talk about too. I can't remember if it was the last show or the one before about the players withholding their paychecks because of the COVID, and then not sure if they're going to get their last one, right? Because they're paid throughout the year. So there's that issue too. And I get it. I mean, I don't have an answer. I don't know what the solution is to all of this. But I get where Kesler's coming from. You're like, well, wait a second. If I make $10 million a year and you're keeping over $1 million, and I may not see that money at the end of the season because of the way it all works out, I mean, that sucks. I mean, that's $1 million that you could have invested or done some other things with and whatnot. And I do see the other side. They're saying, okay, if it doesn't balance out, how are we going to get these players to pay back the money? I get that. That's why I'm saying I don't know if there's a solution, but for the players to be upset about the system as it is right now, I would be too. If you're telling me I have to put this money in a bank account and I don't know what's going to happen with it at the end of the season, I mean, that's rough. I mean, I like I said, I don't have an answer, unfortunately. I'm not a banking math type guy, but all I have to say is that Kesler's frustration is definitely warranted, Eddie.
Oh, definitely. And I'm pretty sure he's upset too that he's forced to be out of hockey, and that plays a factor. But every one of his responses was 100% real. And like you said, like Kesler is what you see is what you get. He's not going to be fake. And, if he's in a bad mood and you're a fan asking for an autograph, yeah, he'll still do it, but he just doesn't have that same attitude he has. Like, I've met Kesler a few times. The first time I met him, it was great. He was all happy and stuff. One of the times I met him, he was kind of grumpy, but he still signed for me and stuff. And, he still shook my hand and everything. He still was respectful, but he's just like one of those players that he's 100% real. And it's really unfortunate that he's going through the stuff he's going through. I wish, like I always tell, I've said this like 1,000 times on the show already. I wish players can go out on their own, their own accord and not be forced out, but it's just one of those unfortunate things. But Kesler is definitely the man. And Mike, definitely, we have to reach out to him and get an I Love Kesler shirt. Like, that'd be great. I know there's a ton of Kesler fans out there still. So, I mean, that'd be a fun one to do.
Yeah, absolutely, man. We still got some more league news to wrap up. So, Eddie, I'll let you take it away. Got a couple other things going on in the league that we'll talk about. Some kind of funny and not so funny.
Well, first of all, the Ottawa Senators. If you ever feel bad about being a Ducks fan, just think about if you're a Senators fan. From all the stuff they've been going through the last few seasons, and I'm pretty sure you guys know what's going on. Now, I guess a foundation that they had ties with for over 22 years cut ties with them. I guess there was mismanagement and money or something like that. They're still going to remain the same foundation. They're just not going to be associated with the Senators. It's just another blow to the Senators. If things make things worse, the owner of the Senators, Melnick, the fans got together and got some money together and posted a big billboard in Ottawa calling for him to be out. with the hashtag Malnick out to get him out for the Senators organization. That is like the ultimate slap in the face when your fans get money together and get a big billboard just to get you out. That is just, like I said, thank God we're not an Ottawa fan, because that's just really crazy. Back to the Edmonton Oilers. I can't believe this when I read it, but a Connor McDavid rookie card, the number 97 card out of 99, sold for $135,000. $811 if you want to make technical, but holy crap. A card in this day and age selling for that much money, that's crazy. The previous record was actually was held by another McDavid card that sold for over $55,000. Like, oh my, that's just nuts. 55. Give me that money. I'll go to Vegas for a week and I'll have a great time. Let's go to the KHL. Pavel Datsyuk. He's reportedly was held up in a Russian monastery with a priest who claims COVID-19 is fake, and it's a way to get people microchipped. I guess it sounds like more of a cult than anything. It's just kind of weird. He wasn't like held up or where he's not forced to leave. He's doing it on his own accord. It's just, I don't know, Mike. That's just weird. If some priest is trying to hold me in a monastery, claiming fake things, like my first thing in my mind is get the hell out of there.
Yeah, this story is, I don't know, this is one of the weird ones. Of all the stories that happened last couple of weeks, I'm like, what? And I don't know. And like I said, I mean, there's so much misinformation going on out there in the world about all this stuff. It's just hard to tell what's reality anymore. And I just don't, the biggest thing I try to tell everybody is do your research. You know, don't look at mainstream media and think that they're telling you the truth. So that's the only thing I'll say about that. But as far as him, you know, staying there and whatnot because of this, I don't know. It's just one of the craziest things that I can think of. I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there, a lot of fake news, a lot of things going on. Unfortunately, I honestly don't watch a lot of news anymore. And I don't think a lot of you out there should either. I pretty much stick to sports, thank God, because sports most of the time is not fake news. So I stick to that. But you want to talk about weird stories that have happened in the last couple of weeks? This is one of them. I don't know, but I'm with you too, Eddie. If someone's trying to keep me in a monastery because of whatever, I'd be like, what? What are you talking about? You know? I would try to bust out or go, do my own thing. But anybody trying to restrict you from doing something, I would question. That's the thing I would tell everybody, Eddie.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't say, unless that whole monastery and priest had a bunch of Pink Whitney, vodka, beer. I want to stay there for a few days, 3 weeks, and get drunk. That's cool. But no, to other news, more actually positive news. New Jersey, Nico Heishire, he's from Switzerland, and they have a mandatory military service, but they're exempt if they play, abroad. He's playing over here in New Jersey. Since his COVID-19, he wants to go and fulfill his military service requirement. So he went and did it, which is a really good young kid. I think that's amazing. What's funny too, or not funny, but it's kind of weird, in different countries, if you play in hockey, especially, I think he got a year off his military service because he was as part of the Switzerland World Championship game. Some countries count that as military service when you're representing the country. So, yeah, he stated that he wanted to stay in shape and fulfill his obligations. So I respect the hell out of him for doing that. I don't care which military you serve. It's not easy. And people that listening that are in the military or vets, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It doesn't matter if you're a pro athlete or anything. I'm pretty sure their basic training or whatever they call it, they don't favor him because he's a professional hockey player. He's just going to be the same equally piece of crap, which I was always told. And better words, when I was in basic training in the Army. But I really respect the kid for doing that, and good for him. Moving on, I want to talk about the Buffalo Sabres. This was funny.
Good Lord.
Yeah, Jack Eichel comes out and says he's frustrated with losing. He's irritated, blah, blah, blah. You know, how he cries and bitches and complains. he's the same rookie that bitched about his head coach and he got fired. Well, after he bitched, the Buffalo Sabres fired 22 of their employees, including their GM. They actually fired their IT guy too. And which was funny about that is they fired him, but they didn't have any of the passwords for their social media and things that they needed. So they came back and rehired him, quote, stating like it was a mistake they fired him. Like, what kind of shit show is going on in Buffalo? Like, you fired the only person that didn't do it. He just, with the IT guy, he fixes everything for you guys. But what's funny is one player can dictate what happens in your organization. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of Eichel. I think he's a big baby. I think he should shut the hell up and play hockey and try to win with the team he has and stick to it. I don't know. Once again, he has a sense of entitlement. It's just crazy how that whole situation went down. And once again, another team we can say, thank God we're not Sabres fans, because that's just crazy to think that they fired the only guy that's significant to their organization and had all the passwords, and they had to rehire him back and said that they fired him for a mistake.
Yeah, Eddie. I mean, we talk about Ottawa a lot in this show and the stuff going on there. We talked about Detroit and them playing poorly. Now you could just add Buffalo in there. I mean, this is just a complete shit show over there. I mean, lack of a better term. I mean, they boot all these people, like you said. Eichel maybe started the wave of firing. I don't know. At least, like you said, he kind of was like, hey, complained and some shit started rolling downhill. But yeah, note to everybody out there, if you're going to fire your IT guy, you might want to get all the passwords and logins and all that stuff before you do that. And you might want to try them too to make sure that they work. I mean, holy crap, man. This Buffalo, good Lord. I don't know. I mean, like I said, we talk about the Ducks and everything that's going on, them not playing as well and trying to figure out the season, kind of getting screwed in the draft and everything. But Detroit, Ottawa, and Buffalo, if you're fans of those three teams, I feel sorry for you right now.
Oh, definitely. The Hockey Hall of Fame was announced. Jerome Iginla, Marian Hossa, Kevin Lowe, Doug Wilson, Kim St. Pierre, and Ken Holland were announced as the inductees. Jerome Iginla, I can say, is a class act guy, 110%. When I was stationed in Colorado, I went to a lot of Avs games, and I got to see him practice, got to see him play. Even at his age at that time, he was still always one of the first ones on the ice, always one of the last ones to leave the ice. He just loves the game, and meeting him, which is so amazing. I remember I had one of the shirts you made, Mike, the Sharks choking since, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
He pointed and laughed at it, and he was just talking about that. It was just so fun to meet him. I got my Avalanche jersey with his name on it. He signed it to me. It was just a great experience. I'm glad that he's getting inducted. He deserves it. It's only unfortunate he's never won a Stanley Cup. I know a lot of people, and it irritates me when people do this. With Kim St. Pierre, when it was announced, they post who. Like, dude, you have fucking Google stuff. Like, stop being such an asshole about things. Like, she's probably one of the most decorated women's hockey player ever. And, if you don't believe me, you can look up her stats. I don't need to read them. But I think she deserves it. People said that, because this culture, she has to be in there. No, she doesn't have to be in there. The stuff that she accomplished, she definitely deserves it. So I want to make sure I called that out, because a lot of people were just being like a-holes about that. I apologize for cursing, but just some people just irritate me when they're so ignorant and they don't know about hockey. Like, come on, if you claim to be a hockey fan, do your research and understand all hockey, not just like what you want to understand. To move on to Seattle. So I guess Amazon bought the naming rights to the building, and they named it Climate Pledge Arena. Yeah, that's kind of weird. I thought it would be like Prime or 2-Day Arena, because they have 2-day delivery, but I don't know. This kind of bothers me because it seems like you're just bringing a political statement to a name. Like, yeah, if you want to make changes and you have a passion, why don't you just do it and try it? And I think Amazon's kind of hypocritical by doing this, and they want to just do all this climate change things, but they send you boxes, they send you stuff from Whole Foods, but they don't, get the boxes back to recycle them. I don't know. It's just weird. Another thing I wanted to point out too was they had little clips of their arena, how it's gonna look, and if you guys really zoomed in on the picture, their jerseys looked red and white. I don't know, Mike, if you think about a red and white jersey, but it seems like, it was like the Minnesota Wild playing.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I saw you post that too, and I was like, red and white, it's kind of weird. So I'm with you too. I don't know what's going on with the name thing, but apparently, again, I try not to get political on the show. We talk about sports and everything, keep it at that, but I don't know what's going on now. It seems like everything offends everybody for any reason, so they're trying to go with some kind of PC type name. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Like with you, I thought if they went with Prime Arena, that would have been good because of Amazon Prime. That would have made sense to me, something like that. Or hell, go with Amazon. You're the ones paying for it. Why not have your name on there? That's what a lot of other places do when they have, Home Depot Arena or Lowe's Arena or whatever. You know what I mean? They put their name on there. So I don't know what's going on with that, but yeah, I'm kind of curious to see if they do turn out with these white and red uniforms, because if you guys didn't see it, Eddie posted it on his social media, so I have to kind of keep track of that and see what happens. We're still another year away before Seattle comes into the picture, but yeah, I mean, it is what it is, and we'll have to just kind of wait and see, Eddie.
Definitely. And lastly, the Bill Masterton Memorial nominees were announced. Ryan Miller was nominated from the Ducks. I think Ryan Miller is a great, phenomenal goalie. He almost won us a gold medal for Team USA, and he's just been probably like the best U.S. goalie there is out there. But this might be an unpopular decision. I don't think he deserves this. There's other nominees that probably deserve it more. Starting with Bobby Ryan, he battled alcohol addiction, returned back to play. He scored a hat trick in his second game back, and not just that, the life that Bobby Ryan had to endure, the physical abuse and things like that. If you don't know the story, you can definitely Google it and understand it. It's really hard to kind of get your mind to where you need to be to make it in professional hockey. Or professional anything by dealing with the stuff that he had to deal with in his life. I can talk about that from personal experience. It's hard. So I think he's one of the ones that deserves it a lot. Jay Bomeister, he collapsed in the ice in that game against Anaheim. He came back. He came back with a positive work ethic. He wanted to come back and play. He just he's one of them. Another one, too, that hits home, that hits my heart, is Oscar Lindblom from the Philadelphia Flyers. He battled against cancer, and recently he was with his team doing individual workouts. But throughout that process, he's just always kept a positive attitude, always being positive and just showing, he's leading by example. Like, people that are dealing with cancer. We have, I know, Joe Chavez that defeated cancer. We featured him on our Hockey Fights Cancer Night on our game program. He's another example. He's always positive. He's just always posting stuff positive. He never dwells on it and never lets it defeat him. And I think if I can pick either one of these three, as much as I want to pick Bobby Ryan because I can relate to him the most, I'd probably pick Lindblom because I think his attitude is inspiring people, especially that are dealing with their own medical battles, to just keep that smile face on, no matter how hard it is. And I really respect that. Like people like him and Joe Chavez that I mentioned, that just always maintain their positive outlook on life. I'm a negative person, so it's like when I see someone that's dealing with a whole lot of crap that I can't even understand or I can never relate to, I think it's an inspiration.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, to me, it's tough. There's some really good candidates on there. Obviously, Ryan Miller being in there, we're happy. I think of the Ducks players, he absolutely deserves to be the one up there. But, looking at the other three, holy crap. I mean, this is difficult. You have Bobby Ryan, Baumeister, like you talked about with the game where he collapsed, Lindblom, facing all the cancer stuff and coming back from that. I mean, holy crap. I wouldn't be upset if any one of those three got it. I mean, it's going to be close. I think they're all great choices. I think one thing I do urge people to check out is the Bobby Ryan story. It's on YouTube. It talks about his life, how Bobby Ryan, his last name really isn't Ryan. If you didn't know that, you can check it out. They have I think it's like 40 minutes. It's on YouTube, talks about what he went through. So some interesting stuff there. Like I said, do your research, right? Check things out, look things up, and find out what's going on. But any one of those three I wouldn't be upset with. I get what Eddie's saying with Oscar and the cancer thing. I'm kind of leaning towards Bobby Ryan. I know he used to play on the Ducks and things like that and the stuff he went through, but honestly, I wouldn't be upset if any one of those three guys got it. So we'll wait and see how that goes. But we're going to wrap up the show. Appreciate all the support. I know I've still been keeping in contact with everybody over the last 3-4 weeks. We didn't have a live show when the Ducks did the draft lottery. Unfortunately, I had to work, so I apologize for that. But we do plan to do one when the actual real draft happens. We will have one because, obviously the Ducks will be the 6th pick. So we're planning to do something at least on that first day for sure. And I will plan to try to get it off as well. Also, Eddie Richards been doing the Jersey Madness voting, which has been ongoing. And you guys have been weighing in on that, which has been fantastic and awesome. So that's still going. We're getting close to the end there. Eddie's been doing the brackets and whatnot, trying to finish that. He also gave away a jersey on social media. So we want to thank bnewt_22 on Twitter. He ended up winning that jersey. We'll be doing more giveaways as well. If you join patreon.com/DucksNPucks, you get a free DucksNPucks face cover as well. We will send you that. That's anywhere. It doesn't matter. I've sent some to Europe. I don't care. If you sign up for Patreon, even for the $1 level, it doesn't matter to me. I will send you a free face cover, whether you're in Canada, the U.S., Antarctica. It doesn't matter. I'll send it to you. We've had a lot of people sign up, and we've been doing that. We appreciate that as well. We have some new hats as well. You can check those out at tpnhockey.com. And we'll just keep doing as much stuff as we can. Obviously the Ducks aren't going to be playing for a while, and hopefully hockey, there'll be that playoff thing coming in a month. We'll still be doing shows, like I said. It just kind of depends on as news comes out. This one we kind of waited a little bit until the draft lottery, but we'll still be doing them until that happens. And even once the playoff happens, we'll be doing shows. And then whenever hockey starts next year, we'll be back full at it. But we really thank you for the support. Stay strong, stay safe, be kind, love one another, and let's go Ducks.